Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Missy, and I'm really happy to have you here. I'm doing a kind of a different type of video today because it is more related to our farm life. But I was thinking about it the other day, and if you've seen most of the videos that I've put up, because I just started my channel couple of months ago in the middle of the summer. Most of my videos have to do with food preservation at this point because that's what I spend most of my summer doing. It's a really busy thing. We grow a big garden and we try to put up as much food as we can to last our family for the winter. So this week what we're doing is we are going to be putting up food for the winter for our farm animals because we're going to be in the hayfield cutting hay and baling hay. But when I got to thinking about that, I thought it's really not much different than what we do for ourselves. We put up food for the winter for our family. We put up food for the winter for our animals. So I thought that y'all might be interested in that. So if you are, stick around because that's what this video is going to be about. So this video is going to be a little different. It's going to be partly educational because I'm going to show you all of the equipment we use and kind of the steps and how we do it. Baling hay is something that we do every year at this time of the year in the fall, and we put up enough hay to last all of our large animals, cows, horses, and goats for the winter. So it's going to be part educational and it's going to be kind of part a day in the life because you will get to see, what our life is like the week of hay cutting. But it's going to actually be more than one day in the life. It's going to be several days in the life because it takes a few days during the week to actually get through the whole process of hay cutting. To determine when we can cut our hay is we have to watch the weather real closely because, like I said, it takes several days. So you have to know that you're going to have that many days without rain. And we live in an area where we have hurricanes. So you never know what's going on the Gulf. There's a tropical depression or something out there. So we have to watch the weather. We have to time it with when the grass is ready to be cut. And so when the time is right, that's when you act and that's when you do it. And this week is when the time is right. So we're going to be heading to the hay field. And I'd like for you to come along if you're interested in that. This is the grass that we're going to be cutting today. This is what it looks like when it's ready to be cut and baled. And you can see how green it is here. It won't look like this when we start baling it. But this grass is grass that's just native to where we live. It's not grass that we planted just for the purpose of baling. It's native grass that grows here. And it's bahia grass and carpet grass. And we are going to be baling two different fields, and so they're actually on two different sides of our house. The other field is the same kind of grass, but it also has some vetch and clover planted in it, which they are not native grasses, and so they won't come back every year. That's something you have to plant every year, but they will add protein to the hay. So without high protein grasses, the hay does have some protein, but it's mainly just for roughage. So some of our hay will be higher in protein than others, but cows, horses, and goats all need the roughage for their digestive systems to work properly. So it's really important during the time of the year when there's no grass for them to eat, for them to have something that they can eat to provide them the roughage that they need. So that's one of the reasons that we bale hay every year for our animals, and we try to bale enough to last all year long because we don't want to have to go and purchase hay if we run out. So we try to make sure and bale enough to last. And this is the hay cutter. So our hay cutter is 8 feet wide. It cuts an 8-foot strip. They do come smaller than that and they come bigger than that, but that's the size that we have. Is made specifically for cutting hay. It cuts differently than a bush hog or a pasture clipper does. It's made differently. It has like a bar that goes across it with many small blades on it, so it cuts much cleaner and it cuts much closer to the ground. When it cuts the hay, it just lays it over on the ground. It doesn't mulch it up and mess it up. It just neatly lays it down so that you can come back pretty easily with your, rake and baler and all of that and pick it up and put it into the hay bales. Okay, so this is the grass that's cut, laying on the ground. You can tell already it started drying out. It's not as green as it was when it was cut. And this machine is called a fluffer. And it's also called a tedder. But what it does is it picks the grass up and it turns it over. And our fluffer is 15 feet wide. I'm sure they make different sizes, but that's what we have. It's a 15-foot wide fluffer. And you can see maybe that it has little teeth on it, and those little teeth pick the grass up and they basically just flip it around. Because what will happen when it's cut and it lays down on the ground, the hay on the top will dry faster than the hay on the bottom, the hay that's against the ground. And so because we need our hay to be dry all the way through before we bale it, we use the fluffer. It comes along, it turns it upside down to where it puts the wet grass on the top and the dry grass on the bottom, and it allows it to dry really well all the way through. So it's an important step because we don't want to bale hay that's wet or damp because we don't want it to get moldy and get bad. We want to have good, clean hay for our animals to eat. So this is the hay after it's been fluffed. It kind of looks like it's in rows. It kind of looks like it's already raked up, but it's not. This is just fluffed, and you'll be able to tell the difference in a minute whenever you see the hay that's been raked. And that is coming very shortly. This is what the rake looks like, and that's my son there on the tractor. But this is what the rake looks like. We actually have 2 rakes. This one is called a twin rake, and it rakes from both sides into the middle. We also have what's called a side delivery rake, and it rakes everything to one side. So they're just 2 different types, and I'm not really sure why he chooses to use one over the other one. I do think the twin rake rakes a wider area. So this one rakes 15 feet the way it is, and I believe he can add to it and make it rake a little bit wider, like to 20 feet. But he also doesn't want it to be too wide because he doesn't want too much hay in the rows that he's going to bale. So kind of the hay, the rake has to do with how thick the grass is that they're baling as to how much they want to pull in and get into that row. Here he's given the raker some signs there. He doesn't want him to get too far ahead of him. So that's another thing. While they're raking, the raker and the baler are in the field at the same time. And the reason for that is that we don't want to have too much hay raked up and not have time to get it baled. Like you wouldn't want to have to stop at the end of the day with a lot of hay raked and not baled, because you would have that same problem of the dew would get on top of that hay and it would be wet again. And so that's really not a good thing. So what we want to do is we want the baler just a few rows behind the rake as he rakes, and that way you know that you're going to get the hay all baled up before nighttime. And then if you don't, whatever hay's not raked, you can just run back in there with that fluffer again. You can turn it over again, let it all get dried out, and then come back in and start raking and baling. So the hay baler and the hay rake are usually always in the field at the same time. So now it's lunchtime, and this is going to be a little family stuff here, but that's my sweet little granddaughter. We have to bring the guys lunch in the field because baling day is a really long day and it's really busy. They don't have time to stop and come to the house to eat, so they always want their lunch brought to them in the field so they can eat really quick. Not quite as quick as it looks here, but they can eat quick and get back on the tractors and get back to work because they really want to get this done before it gets dark. And baling day attracts all sorts of people, friends and family, all show up at lunchtime, come join in on all the fun. And they always get a lot of special snacks and stuff for hay baling too. So here they are, back at it again with the baling. And I wanted you to was trying to get it where you could really see the way the tractor runs right over that, the row of raked hay, which is called a windrow. He centers it right between those two front tires, and that way the baler can pick it up. The other thing is he goes really slow, because if you go too fast, it can kind of cause a jam. The baler won't be able to pick up the hay fast enough if you get going too fast, and then it will jam up when it's going into the baler. You have to stop, you have to open the baler up, you have to pull all that hay out by hand, and then start the whole process over again. So it's really better just to go slow in the beginning and let the baler be able to do what it needs to do without getting jammed up and all like that. So that's why baling takes longer than the other things, than the cutting and the fluffing. The baling is the longest part because it's slower. And I wanted to say, my son that you see in this video helping with driving the tractor and doing the fluffing and all of that, he has his own YouTube channel that he's trying to grow. So I'm sure he would like it if you felt inclined to go and show him some love over on his channel. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to it behind this video in case you want to go check it out. So he does some mechanic work and things like that, and that's what he has on his channel. Here you're going to see he stopped because the baler's full. It has a little gauge that tells him it's full, and now it's still running, and the hay is going around in a circle in there, and it is wrapping the hay with the hay string so that when it comes out of the baler, it will all stay together. And here the baler's opening it up, and this little thing is called a kicker that's fixing to kick the bale out from underneath the baler. And then it will just go back to baling again. Now I'm really sure that my husband wishes he could bale this fast. It would be really nice. But like I said before, you can't do it fast. It is a slow process. But I wanted to show you this. He's gonna, in just a minute, when he gets back over here close to us, he's going to have a full baler again, and he's going to stop and kick that bale out. And I thought you might want to be able to see that a little bit closer up than what you saw before. So this is it right here. And there it goes in fast motion. Okay, so now we have all of the baling finished, but we have hay bales scattered out all over 2 of our pastures because we have 4 different pastures. So right now we're baling in 2 of them, and so we have the animals locked out of these 2 pastures, and they're in the other 2. But he cannot let them back in here as long as this hay is scattered all over the field, because they'll tear it up, and then we won't have any for the winter. So I wanted to point out here to notice that he is putting the bale on the back first before he puts the bale on the front, because that bale on the back, not only is he able to move 2 bales at the same time, but the bale on the back is giving him the weight that he needs on the back of the tractor to be able to pick up this one on the front way out there like that, and to be able to pick it up. He's going to pick these bales up high enough to load them on the trailer, and so he needs that bale on the back of the tractor. So it's serving a different purpose, the purpose of the weight right now. I thought that y'all might find this interesting, the way that he loads the trailer. So that's what I wanted to show you. You probably see people going down the road with trailer loads full of hay, so you can transport the hay this way. We are only transporting it in our pasture on our land. He's taking it over closer to where our house is, and getting it out of the field so that he can open the gates and let the cows back into the field. But if he needed to transport it, he could transport it down the road like this. We used to cut hay in different places from where we live, and we would transport the hay on the trailer like this. But now we can cut and bale enough hay where we live that we don't have to do it anymore anyplace else. So it makes it a lot easier just to be able to do it at your home. And so here he's just going to stack some in one little area, and what he'll do is he will fence that little area off. And see here, when he stacks it this way, he's moving 2 at the same time by putting the one on the back and on the front, and then he unloads them both at the same time too. But we'll fence this little area off where the cows can't get to it, and so it'll be okay. And there are the ones that'll be eating it. And thank you for being here today. Be sure and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.